This week on the Woodpecker, Alain is not allowed in his workshop.
No, because we've decided to do a girl project, so we're doing a decoration for my bedroom.
Chantal wants to make a decoration for her bedroom. We don't waste any time and start to work.
So to begin, I cut the pieces of wood to length.
Then we sand them.
Next, I paint them with acrylic paint on every side but not the back. I want to alternate two colors. You'll see it will be beautiful. When the paint is dry, I place the boards the way I want them to be. They're all uneven, so I mark the spot where I need to remove the paint with a piece of tape. Next, I put each piece in the vise and use the card scraper to remove the paint. I do this to make sure the glue will set properly.
It's not very easy, so I help her with that.
When we're done with a piece of wood, we put it back in place to make sure not to mix them. Now it's time to glue this all together. I apply glue on a piece in between the pieces of tape and put them in the clamps. When it's all done, I remove the pieces of tape and the excess glue. Next, I go outside to spray some paint on my deer head. I make sure every nooks and crannies are covered because it's made out of plastic and the paint doesn't really stick properly. Now that the glue is dry, I remove the excess and I'm ready to apply the varnish.
Whoa, I let you touch my tools, but my spray gun is out of bounds.
So my father applies the first coat of varnish. When it's dry, I give it a light sanding and my father applies the second coat. When it's dry, I mark where I want the fasteners to be so I can hang it to the wall. I drilled 2 holes using a piece of wood on the drill bit to make sure I don't drill through it. And I screw the screws. Next, I place the deer head where I want it to be and mark the spots. Then I screw 2 screws. And here's the final result. I'm proud of it, but my mom doesn't like it. She says it's too small. I would need a much bigger one to put over my bed. I agree. So we start to work on the bigger one.
And that's a good size for a deer head. This time, we decide to use some birch that's lying around. Chantal measures the length of the boards and marks what needs to be removed. I make the cuts.
I pass the boards in the jointer until I have 2 sides straight. It's not easy. It takes a lot of muscles to do that.
Next, we join forces to pass them in the thickness planer and finally in a drum sander.
Then I cut all the pieces to the same width. When it's done, I place them the way I want them to be in reference to my deer head.
Then Chantal marks the width of the boards and I cut them.
Meanwhile, I go outside and apply some paint on my deer head. Since it's paper mache, the paint sticks properly. I make sure not to forget a spot on the antlers. Then it's time to paint the boards. This time they will alternate between red and black. Like for the other ones, I mark the spots where I need to remove the paint with a piece of tape and use the card scraper to remove it. Now it's time to glue everything together. It's the same technique, a little bit of glue in between the tapes and we put them between the clamps. I remove the tapes and the excess glue.
Don't try it. My spray gun is still a no-no.
Then I give a little sanding under the watchful eyes of Inspecteur D'Artagnan. I also make several touch-ups before my father applies the second coat of varnish. When it's dry, I can mark where I want the fasteners to be. I don't use the same kind because it's way too heavy. These ones need to be hammered down to it. I put the deer head where I want it to be and mark the spot. I drill a hole with a stop and screw the screw. I hang the head to the screw and voila! Oops. No, it's not working, it's not strong enough. I had a washer to strengthen it, and voila! It's more like it. At least it holds.
Here are our two frames. They look good, and Chantal is very happy. We only need to hang them on the wall.
Yes, they're very pretty. I hope the paint will stick properly to the plastic head. The big one is hung over my bed. It's so solid that I'm pretty sure it won't fall off. And we'll probably see each other soon in another episode of The Woodpecker.